So, number one, make the time. So this morning, we talked about, in Away with the Winter Blues, we talked about making the time for exercise and all this type of stuff. What I'm talking about here is make the time to fit into the recovery zone. So if you weren't on this morning's session, we talked about 4 different energy zones. The 2 that we want to be in is performance zone and recovery zone. This time we're talking about making time to be in the recovery zone, making time to be calm, relaxed, mellow, okay? But also making time to do a mental health MOT every now and then. Ask yourselves those 8 questions that we talked about. What is really making you feel bad? What can make you feel better? What triggers can you put in place? Because they will change over time. So when I say make the time, it's make the time for you. 5 minutes every 2 months, maybe 10, okay? To make the time to really understand what's going on in your head, okay? And remember what we said right at the beginning of this session. When people say mental health, they automatically go negative. This is also about making the time to remind yourself of all of the great mental health stuff, the way that you've dealt with it. You know, I remember a time, my mum, she's a worrier. Okay, it's not great. I would never tell her that because that's bad self-talk, isn't it? But she tends to worry and over-worry about things and everything in the world, okay? And other people. When my stepfather had a heart attack and was rushed into Birmingham Hospital and had to have 2 stents and a bypass and everything else, the way she dealt with it was phenomenal. And we often find that in life, by the way. When really bad things happen, we normally face it and deal with it the best way we can. Okay, so this pandemic, for the majority, I know there's been a few idiots, right? But for the majority of people, we've dealt with this the best way we possibly can, after we've got through a bit of change and transition, okay? And so when my stepdad had a heart attack, I thought my mum was going to be in tears and worried and sick, and of course she was worried and stuff, but she went into, we're going to deal with this practically, pragmatically, we're going to get through it, and we're going to get through the other end. And now, when my mum is worried about something small, I remind her of how great she was. I remind her of how great her mental health was during that time of need for my stepfather. And that's what we have to do sometimes. We have to look back on things and go, we dealt with that, didn't we? We dealt with that really well. But now I'm bothered about this email that's come in and I'm worried about it. Yeah? So let's just bring a bit of balance back into the force and make sure we've got the time to remember those things, the time to go in and do a bit of recovery to our energy and our own mental health, and also plan in time for your recovery. If you're the type of person that doesn't really relax, like me, plan it in. So I plan in things. You know, playing golf for me is a way of relaxing. If you saw me play golf, you might not agree with me, but it's a way of kind of relaxing and getting out in the fresh air. Plan it in, you know, plan it in, okay? Would be super to get a copy of the slides. Okay, at the end, guys, if you want a copy of these slides, type your email address into the chat box, because I can record that and I'll get the slides out to everybody. For everybody else, the recording will be on next week, okay? Make time for your mental health MOT, as we've said, okay? Make time for your mental health MOT. Okay, number 2, talk to yourself in a helpful way. Yes, I'm banging on about it again, and I'm purposely doing it. There you go. What to say when you talk to yourself. We mentioned it this morning. I will keep mentioning it. It's the best book in my list of great books, and I have read and listened to a lot over my time. This is number 1, the best one. Okay, top there. Yeah. Then I think Chimp Paradox is probably top 5 that was mentioned earlier on, which is very good. So, when's the last time you reminded yourself what you're good at? Okay? When's the last time you caught somebody doing something right? We're very good at catching people doing things wrong. When's the last time you caught somebody doing something right? When's the last time you caught yourself doing something right? And then you celebrated yourself for doing that thing right. It all adds to the mental health. Be, dare I say, be solution focused, not problem focused. okay? Your brain likes to think in problems because it likes to do that worrying thing. Remember, Freudian? When your idea is being pulled to your super ego over worry at that point, yeah? Overanalyze, over worry, problem focused, not solution focused, okay? Repetition builds pathways in the brain, triggers. Write some triggers out, yeah? I'm going to have a good day. I'm great at this. I enjoy doing my job, whatever. Write them out, get them somewhere you can see them 3 times a day. I will achieve 3 goals today, whatever it may be, okay? Really, really good, all right? 3 times a day. The reason we say 3 times a day, by the way, for triggers, is because that's what it generally takes 6 to 8 weeks, 3 times a day to change a pathway in the brain. Okay, so on average, if you can read something and take it in 3 times a day, on average 6 to 8 weeks, you can create a new pathway called a dendrite, or you can change a pathway called a dendrite in your head. That's why it's so important, okay? Number 3. We've done the tear cycle, I brought that up earlier on. Number 3, look to the future. Now this was one of the 8 things that we talked about this morning. When our mental health is not good, it can feel very difficult to get out of it. One of the best ways to do that is to take your mind off the now and look to the future, okay? And earlier on today, we said don't let the minutiae of the day take over. And like I said to you earlier, normally when bad things happen, big bad things happen in life, we normally tackle them okay, actually. It's the tiny little crappy stuff that winds us up during the day we have a bad attitude about, and it affects our mental health. So try not to let the minutiae of the day, try and look at the big picture, okay? Plan what you're going to do in the spring and summer. Now that came from this morning. Or just plan what you're going to do next week, or tomorrow, or tonight. Yeah, so if you're stuck in this mental health bit, yeah, and your mental health is not great and you're talking to yourself in a bad way and you don't feel great, start thinking about what you're going to do when you finish work tonight, or after lunch, or what you're going to do tomorrow, when you're going to go for your next walk, or what you're going to do at the weekend, and have that thing to look forward to. Very, very, very important, okay? And of course, if you are in a position where you can get yourself into the position of most opportunity, so I'm gonna do all these 5 jobs, and then I'm gonna go and reward myself with a walk, okay, or whatever it may be. Get yourself into the position where you can take the opportunity of the walk. Don't find yourself getting to the end of the day going, I just didn't have time to go for a walk. We all have time, 86,400 seconds every day. And remember what I said earlier when we did Away with Winter Blues. In the winter, the days don't get shorter. The daylight gets shorter. The days don't. You have still exactly the same amount of time as you had in the summer, okay? Number 4, ask for help. This is a big one, especially us Brits. We don't always like doing it. When you are in the rut of the change curve, ask for help. Have a rut partner, okay? I know there are 2 senior people up in Rotherham that do this for each other. I've got a colleague that does this for me, somebody that you can get hold of just for 5 minutes and go, I'm in a bad mood, I'm frustrated, I don't feel great, can you listen to me for 5 minutes so I can get it out? Okay? Now, moaning is absolutely fine if you do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, get the moan out, release the chemical in the system, the negative chemical, makes you feel a bit better, because after a bit of a whinge, we feel a bit better, but then you've got to take some action on what you're moaning about. Otherwise, you're back moaning about the same thing again the following week. So, do you have somebody that you trust, that you can have that conversation with? Yeah, I have somebody that I can trust. Just 5 minutes, let me get it out, okay, and then we'll deal with it. You will feel better, so that's okay. Moaning doesn't take 10 years though, it only takes 5 minutes, so let's just get that out, okay? No one in history ever did it all on their own. I don't care, you show me one person on this planet that has been successful and happy in their lives and have had help of nobody else in the world. There isn't anybody. Which means, in order to be happy and successful, we might need some help. So ask for help, okay? Ask for somebody to talk to. Ask for somebody to help you. There's no shame in this. Nobody was successful and happy on their own. Nobody on the planet, okay? Look for somebody to help you. Look for somebody to help as well. Okay? 2 birds, 1 stone. You help them, they help you. Happy days. Everybody's a winner. Okay? Who could you help today? There's a rhetorical question to leave you with. Who could you help today? Find somebody. Offer some help, because you'll probably get some help back at some point. Okay? And finally, number 5. Give yourself a break. Stop beating yourself up. You can exercise your physical body every you can't exercise your physical body every 7 seconds. Earlier on today, I said you talk to yourself every 7 seconds. Imagine if you exercised your physical body every 7 seconds. After a while, you would burn your body out. Well, you talk to yourself every 7 seconds. So what that means is you need to give your brain a break. Okay? It needs a bit of downtime. It needs a bit of calm. It needs a bit of focusing on one thing. Okay? It needs maybe a bit of mindfulness. Now, in a few weeks, there's a mindfulness session in the diary. The whole session is about mindfulness and how you do it, how it works. So please click onto that one if you're interested in that session, okay? Make it daily, calm your mind at least once a day, focus on one thing rather than 7, which is what mindfulness tries to do, focus you down on one thing more than 7. And stop beating yourself up for feeling bad. If you beat yourself up for feeling bad, you get into like this beating up circle that you keep going around. So, number 5, give yourself a break, calm your mind, stop beating yourself up, yeah, remember the good stuff that you're all about, yeah, and go out and have great mental health, and remember that, as well as the times that we need to work on our bad mental health.